Hi everyone, it's Rod. Something a little different this week, and that is the garden service came along and ripped out my telephone lines and internet connections. So, working on borrowed internet, I can't have a long 30-minute episode as usual. So, I'm going to chat to you just for a quick 10 minutes, keep you updated, and hopefully in the near future, my own internet connection will be fixed and we can resume our longer discussions. In the meanwhile, I wanted to respond to what so many people have been saying as they've been coming into my office this week and last week. And that is, never mind what a week, it is crazy. People are arriving stressed out, a lot more than has been for a little while or what seems like usual. People often feeling stressed out, but I thought I'd quickly comment on something that has been going on these couple of weeks that is just worth a note. And it might explain why the world is a little bit more crazy than usual, as has been during the month of February. Just so that we keep on the page. You may remember in episode 1, if you watched it, that there are great big social and political cycles that we are all responsive to. And although people often say to astrologers, there must be something in the stars, why is this happening to everyone I know? That usually isn't true. It's our own charts that respond to things, and things are really happening just to ourselves most of the time, and people very close to us in age, because in close age, we're usually affected by the same generational and political cycles. But there are also generational and political cycles that affect all of us, no matter what our age is. And those important cycles, referred to in episode 1, generally recur only every few decades. The key one at the moment has been the cycle of the relationship between Uranus and Pluto, the one that has its pulse every 35 to 45 years. And when it does so, causes a tremendous amount of upheaval, social and political change, even a little bit of chaos and war over an extended period of time. Some astrologers say that lasts around about 7 years. So the first time in the 20th century that cycle was playing out was from about 1931 through most of the 30s. 31 is the Great Depression, the beginning of fascism in Europe and variously around the world, and the response to the Great Depression and the New Deal in the States and so on, the development of the modern 20th century economy. In 1966, the next time that cycle was around, it was the crunch of the civil rights movement, the student revolutions all over the US and Europe, and also, of course, the Vietnam War turning into the major chaos that it became. And again, for about a 7-year period from there is a lot of social change that sets up about the next 25 to 35 years after that. Well, the next time it appeared was 2012. And although we know that in principle, a lot of those effects and play out lasts until 2019, that 7-year period, it is important to know how the cycle has been operating so that we know when it's really affecting us. Here's a graph that shows you how the cycle operates, and it's representing the relationship between these two planets as a cycle so that you can see when it occurs. And here you can see every time those two planets meet mathematically is the intensity of the cycle. So throughout this whole period here is its intense period where a lot of changes happened. You can Google, you can remember, you can look at these dates and so on and see a lot of the period of major change happening at this time. This is after the financial crisis, which seems actually to be a much earlier cycle in 2008, but did explain why there wasn't proper recovery and there was still a lot of chaos quite a long time afterwards. Well, although this cycle ended late in 2015, as we know, that's only 3 years, and there is a lingering effect as every now and then the planets still continue to pulse pretty close to each other. Planets seem to move forward and backwards in their orbits from our earthly point of view. So every now and then they manage to come close to kind of scrape up to each other and threaten each other. And here you can see from really early this year in January, in February, these two planets coming very close together again, and for the last few weeks have been really threatening each other. And we've seen chaotic student violence in South Africa again, elsewhere in the world. And of course, we've seen a terrifying rise of racism and other cultural clashes happening throughout South Africa, Europe, United States, and probably elsewhere in the world as well. So that's what's been going on. You can relax. There's nothing wrong with you. There is actually something that has been pressing our buttons and which continues to do so well into March before you can see it starting to recede. Look towards the end of the screen on the right, then you can see there will be a time, it'll be this time next year, when again they scrape close to each other and again there are going to be rumbles. And it doesn't mean there's nothing that happens in between. We don't have the time to talk about the whole story here, but again, I urge you to listen to episode 1. In the meanwhile, I just wanted to catch you up on this week. So hang in there and do some stress relaxing exercises. Next week, I'm going to tell you what I do to deal with the stress of those kind of things. Keep you in suspense for that. Might have to be a 10-minute episode. I hope not, but we will get that done. So, still time to look at your questions. I won't be able to deal with everyone's questions that I received this week. So if you did send me a question and it's not answered, then I will get back to it next week. No worries. So I'm just going to do your question, Jennifer, from the UK, who asked about the course that you're studying this weekend and what is the result of this course that you're going to be studying. And Jennifer, born on the 13th of January, I'm pleased to tell you that there is a really meaningful result from this course, and that is your chart specifically says you are entering into a state of greater authority. So that means I know that you'll succeed or that you'll get the qualification. And what you need to kind of own is once you've got that, you own your own authority. You act accordingly and realize I'm qualified. I have the paper, I am the thing that I say I am, and you can go ahead and actually do something with it. So it's going to be a good qualifying result for you. So that's all for today, folks, but this would be a great time for me to do a quick commercial for myself. If you want a little more rod this week than I managed to give you, and that is I've republished my book Soul Talks, which gathers a few of my earlier talks from some years ago, and that will give you lots of thoughts about the thoughts that I have. You'll find it anywhere online. There's also its ISBN number, but just search for Rod Suskin Soul Talks. It's available as a book, it's available on your Kindle, and it's available on your Apple iBooks. Get it anywhere there, and interesting lectures about reincarnation, about African spirituality, about the soul, all of those things I talk about over here. So that will keep you going until my internet improves. But meanwhile, next week I will be back with more Rod TV, long or short, as the internet gods allow. More of your questions, Astrology 101, just about any questions here Friday at noon. See you then.